This is just to walk through some of my December and probably November, possibly October knitting projects that are either finished or are still being worked on. If you're new, then welcome. Hi, my name's Dana. I'm coming to you from the woods of northern Illinois, and I knit and crochet and share just kind of in like a video diary what I've been working on. So today I wanted to pop in because it's been a little while since I have shown what it is that I'm working on. And the first thing that I finished is actually, I've been working on for a while. I actually finished it last summer, not like 2023 summer, tore it all back out because it wasn't the size that I wanted it to be and started it again. And that, mostly for fall, has been really what I've been knitting on. So this is it. It is the Winter Honey Shawl by Andrea Mowry. It's never gonna all fit on the camera, so I'll show you like a quarter of it maybe. This, I wasn't sure how it was gonna turn out, but it is the exact size that the pattern measurements say it'll end up being. I do feel like I had to stretch it a lot in blocking to get it to that size, and but it did hold to that size, and so far it's held to that exact size. It is, I have all of the information if I can grab it. I have the yarn and I have the pattern. So the finished wingspan, this is the shawl, not the shawlette, which is the smaller version, which is what I made last summer. Decided I had extra yarn, wanted to keep going, so undid it and did the shawl size. The wingspan is 84 inches and the center depth is 31 inches. And I did use, it says worsted weight. This is, let's see, doesn't actually say what this weight is, but it says you use a size US 6 needle. It's the Rowan Cashmere Tweed. I don't know if they make it anymore. I bought it at a dollar yarn sale a bunch of years ago. And so I really am happy with how it turned out. I love this yarn. I have this one ball left and that is it. And I don't know what to do with one ball. It's 88 yards, I think. No, 96 yards, 88 meters. And I don't know what to do with it, but I love it so much. It's like my perfect shade of green. It's somehow a cool toned green, which I love, and it's tweedy, which I love. And I do think it's more of, I don't know that it meets the gauge, but also I didn't gauge swatch for this because I've never made a shawl, and part of me didn't want to know the truth because I was so bent on doing the shawl in this yarn, and I was like, just don't tell me the bad news. I'm gonna knit it and then hopefully it works out. And so if it didn't work out, it would be my own doing, but I really do love this shawl. It is so pretty. Let me see which way I'm holding to show you the basic idea. It's a honey cable pattern all the way up and down and across. And then the very end, this is where I felt like I had to kind of stretch it. And it has just a cabled border of still doing the same cable, except instead of crossing 2 stitches, you're crossing 4 stitches. And so I do feel like it's not as kind of like plumpy as I would want it to be. But again, I probably did match the wrong yarn with the wrong project, but I knew I wanted to make the shawl, and they were having a dollar yarn sale, and I found this yarn. There wasn't enough yarn, there weren't enough yards of the color I liked, which was this, so to do the shawl, but there was enough to do the shawlette, which is how the shawlette started. They did have this in like a berry purple, maybe. It was like tweedy and berry purple, if I'm remembering right. I'm not really a purple person, and so that I didn't want to get it. I really loved this yarn. Like I said, just kind of wished and hoped and prayed that it would work out. And thankfully it did. like I said, I do wish it was a little bit less stretched. And I'm sure as I wear it more, it'll kind of push back together. But I do like the size of the shawl. It's my first shawl, and it went well. I just had to focus a lot on what I was doing, and then I started to learn without having to check the pattern when I was cabling to the front and when I was cabling to the back, just based on seeing the stitch next to it. Because a lot of times I would, cable one way, and then the next time cable one way, and the next time cable the other way, and then I'd get towards the end of the row and I'm like, wait a second, this isn't turning out. So it was definitely a patient project that I had to really focus on, but I'm so happy that it's finished. So it is very large. Let's see. This is it kind of all opened up. And I actually realized, first of all, I have one end that I didn't weave in, but I actually haven't worn it yet because I wanted to hop on here. I wanted to show it at my knitting group, and I feel a little bit like I can't really truly wear it until I have shared it, because I feel a little worried that I'm going to break it or something's going to happen where I won't be able to actually really wear it again, and I don't know. I want it to be looking its best when I can share it, and that's just a me perfectionist thing. But once I really am able to wear it, I'll be able to figure it out. I want to know how to wrap it really well so it kind of goes on like a scarf, but then also to wear it like a cozy shawl, how it's meant to be. So it goes kind of silly with my shirt. It says, "Have yourself a merry little Christmas," but it goes kind of silly with this style shirt. But it goes to about here, and it's nice and toasty. So I'm really, really, really happy with this. I won't be making a shawl for a little while, though I will say I have a project that I'm planning for after Christmas that will be a sweater, and so that'll kind of be like my long-term project for a little while. This one I just feel a little bit shawled out. I need some faster projects besides the sweater I'll work on, but I really, really do love how this turned out. The pattern was written really well. Definitely beginner shawl knitter friendly, because I've done a lot of knitting, but I've never done shawls, and we made it through. We made it through with one extra ball of yarn, which I'm not really sure. I know I knit kind of loosely. I think I say loosely. I think I knit pretty loosely. But yeah, like I said, probably slightly smaller than worsted weight yarn that I used, but it's very cozy, very lovely. So that is my finished project that I finished. Obviously I finished it, and I do have a few other things that I'm working on that I'll share with you. Oh, I just dropped them all. Okay, here is my thought. I'm tangled. I'm making a whole bunch of mittens, kids' mittens, and I'm using the Millamia, sorry for this death trap of needles poking out, Millamia soft merino, is that what it's called? It's the merino. It's not cotton, it's merino wool. It's extremely soft. I had also bought this at the dollar yarn sale. Rest in peace, The Fold up in Marengo, Illinois. They don't have their dollar yarn sales anymore because they're closed. But this, I had gotten a whole bunch of them from The Fold because I had read the Winter Knits book by Millamia, and this was years ago, and I loved the patterns. Then I got some of the yarn at The Fold, and I loved the yarn, and I never made anything with it. So now I am finally giving this yarn a chance, and I couldn't be happier. I have two gosh, those just landed on the floor. It's all good. I have two child-size mittens. This is kind of like a gray color. This one is like a gray-blue color, I guess. And then this one is kind of just like a pale gray color. And this one doesn't have a thumb. I'm making the pear and then I'll go back and do the thumb afterwards. But this one is smaller. It's the toddler size because I had my two younger kids try this one and it was too big. So I'm going to make 2 of these and I made 2 of these. My thought is that I really want them to have warm wool mittens for the winter time, but I don't want them to have something scratchy. They don't like scratchy wool. So I'm going to do a 2-layered mitten, which I haven't ever done, but it really just requires probably attaching it up in the fingertips, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, and then seaming together at the bottoms. But this is going to be the inside of the mittens because it's the soft wool, so they'll stick their hand in. Outside, and I don't have the yarn. I don't think I have the yarn for the outside, but I'll share that once I'm actually knitting the outside, at least for this one. My 4-year-old chose a purple yarn that she wants to be the outside, so I don't know yet if I'll just knit another basic mitten, hello, or if I'll do like a cable down the front for her or something. But that is the project I've been working on. Right now I'm halfway there. Is that right? I have 2 finished and half of the 3rd. So then I have, no, that's not right. I'm more than halfway there. Took me a minute there. I have another mitten in the toddler size and then 1 more pair of mittens in the toddler size. So this is the 2nd. I'm doing it on, I'm using the Simplest Mittens in the World pattern by Tin Can Knits, just to do like a basic mitten. Like I said, if I'll do a couple changes to it. There's a couple things I wanted to change as far as the shaping of the fingertips, which it's a little too pointed for my liking, but it's a really good, sorry, I shouldn't be showing the, sorry, I'll put a picture over where I just accidentally showed the pattern. It is a free pattern though, so I don't know if that's actually okay or not, but just in case, I'll put a picture. Gosh, the sun just got really bright there. 1 second. Okay, slightly better. I'm on this side now. I was going to say that, I don't remember what I was saying. I'm using the Tin Can Knits World's Simplest Mitten pattern, and it's the Millamia Soft, I think it's called Soft Merino or something having to do with merino. And I don't know if they still sell it or not. This was a bunch of years ago that I got it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Right? That's it. Some finished mittens, but kind of not finished because it's like part 1 to the whole idea that I have to do with it. And then this pair is my 3rd pair that I'm working on, and then I'll cast on probably either in this same color, well, I guess all 3 of these. I have these 3 colors still, and I also have like a pale pink color that have 3 balls of it, so I might save the pink for something else that I can use all 3 of them for something, because so far I've been able to make an entire pair for both child and, I don't know about toddler yet, but for sure child, I've been able to do an entire pair with 1 ball of this yarn. So that has been good. And I know it doesn't matter as much what color is on the inside, but the outside color and design is going to be what matters. I am trying to, let me find the one. There's a difference. There is a slight difference in these 2 mittens here. I'm trying to knit with a tighter gauge than I normally naturally do because I don't want the inside mitten to be really loose and floppy if I'm trying to put another mitten that's following the same pattern on top of it. So I'm trying to knit it in a tighter gauge, and I must have been more mindful about that for this mitten here in the pair because the one behind it ended up just slightly bigger, but it's all good. It'll be fine, right? Hopefully. Okay, I'm gonna set these mittens down because I keep dropping them all over the place. All right. I don't know if I shared this project with you. It's If I didn't, it's a finished project. I feel like I did though, so I'll show it really, really fast. This is the pair of socks I made back in October. I had been working on them in the summertime. I bought it up in Door County at Seaver's Yarn Shop, and I worked on it in the summertime, gave it to him in October. And it's this same yarn, except it's not sparkle. It's the West Yorkshire Spinners Signature, I think is what it was also, but this one's sparkle. So this one I picked up at Wool & Company, which I'll tell you about Wool & Company in a minute, but I loved it so much that I'm making a pair for myself. I just did a basic sock pattern. I've done lots of basic sock patterns before where I've kind of tweaked it over time, again, to make it fit the way that I like it and that my husband likes it. These are for him. And if I didn't say that, just making this, the sock heel and toe and decreases and all that be exactly like how it's comfortable for us to wear. So I am thinking about writing those notes down to share, but it's just a basic sock pattern. You can find them everywhere. So I liked those socks so much, and he loves those socks, that I decided, all right, my phone died, and so I've been wrestling with the camera, which is actually my phone, trying to figure out a way for it to reach the plug, because I have one phone charger that's actually my husband's, and so it's like really close to the wall. So this is where we are. Ignore the mess of sewing things in the back. What I wanted to share was I loved that yarn so much that I had a little bit left, that I decided I'm going to make a pair of baby socks. And gosh, I just lost, I hope that wasn't on there. No, that wasn't. It's also just a basic sock, and I'm trying to remember. It's, okay, so I also tin can knits. I took the rye sock pattern just so that I knew how many stitches to cast on. The rye sock pattern, I think, has you doing like an actual, some sort of repeat pattern type thing in here. And I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to have a basic little baby sock. So this is for my almost 1-year-old nephew. So they live in Michigan. He's also going to get a pair of kind of Detroit Tigers. I like to pretend that it's the Chicago Bears colors. I'm gonna get a little pair of socks for Christmas. So I've been working on that, which has been really fun. I never have knit baby socks in wool. I have knit them in chunky, like acrylic yarn before. They'd never stay on. I'll have to see how they stay on him, but I could be converted to a knitting socks for babies advocate, because before I was like, don't do it, it's a waste of time, they don't stay on. But this with I think I'm using US 0 knitting needles, double pointed needles, which I don't love because they're double pointed needles, but that's okay. I'm also doing it in the mittens, so it's a lot of double pointed knitting that I'm not used to and don't love, but it has nothing to do with actually making the baby sock. I think these have a higher chance for sure of staying on. I don't know, I'm loving these. So I'm onto the toe decrease. One thing that was confusing in the pattern is that it said to start the toe decrease when it reaches, for the size I'm doing, when it reaches 3 inches from the back of the heel. I have always done socks where you measure from where you pick up stitches for the instep. So I'm not sure. I'm doing from about 3 inches from the back of the heel though. So I'm following what it says, and at least to like wrap my brain around I've made lots and lots of socks before, but never for any like child or baby. So I'm very excited to see where this takes me and how they fit him. I'm looking forward to some updates on how they fit him, because I would like to start making some socks. I feel like I'm in a place in my life now where I can wrap my brain around knitting socks for babies and toddlers and kids, even though it's not hard at all. It's the busyness factor. And so if these actually work well and you can make nice wool socks that do stay on babies, then I'm all for it. And I definitely will be doing it regardless if they stay on for babies. I am going to be making wool socks for my kids because of the sledding and ice skating and all that we do in the wintertime. We set up an ice skating rink, which last year was our first year of doing, and then I think this year we're going to move to our front yard. It's slightly more flat, so we won't have to fill the water quite as much, and so hopefully then we have more chances of actually being able to skate on it because we're not waiting for, feet of water to freeze. Anyway, that is my project. I love this yarn, really happy about it. So, Wool & Company. I haven't been to Wool & Company since I made a video about it, which was years ago. And it's interesting because my parents actually just moved out from being like, I don't know, they lived like a couple miles away from there, but anytime I'd go up to their house, I would be going there with my kids. I'd be going there because we're meeting at a certain time to do something. And so I never made it back to Wool & Company. And I finally went, my husband and actually all my kids, they took me, and I got to pick out some yarn for Christmas. And so I'll be sharing one of those things because it's one of those, like, I'm supposed to, I picked it out, but then I'm going to pretend that I didn't pick it out so I can open it for Christmas. So I feel like those are tucked away and they'll be wrapped up for Christmas. So I'll share with you after Christmas what it is that I picked out that are actually my present. But this was bonus. This one, my husband said, don't consider this Christmas, which I thought that was really sweet of him because he, I think, wants me to knit it now, which added to the list of all the now knits I'm doing, but hopefully I can at least cast it on. It's the Nutcracker color of the same yarn, and it does sparkle. But yeah, Nutcracker is the name of it. I went with maybe 30 or 40 minutes left before they closed on a Sunday. I think it was Sunday. And they were so, so kind and sweet and helpful. And the yarn I wanted was in the back. And so very, very helpful with helping me figure out how to choose the colors on their computer. And she went back and, sent someone back to go get it. And she was so helpful throughout. And so I ended up getting sparkly yarn. And because they were still continuing like their, I guess, Black Friday type sale, I got to choose a pattern which was by Cascade Yarns. It was just like a free pattern, but you could take the printout home and then you got to choose your color. So I chose this. It is Cascade Yarns 220 Superwash Hand Paints. It is 100% Superwash Merino wool. And they're calling it a light, here I'll turn it, a light 3/medium 4. It does sort of feel to me like worsted weight, but I don't know yet what I'll make with it. And it came with the pattern it came with was a hat pattern, which to be honest, I don't think I would make, but I can't say no to squishy wool yarn that's merino wool. So I'm actually thinking, because it's so soft, that I would like to maybe, I don't know, it's not a color that I would wear, for a hat at all. And I can't think of anyone who would actually. Actually, maybe. It's kind of Detroit Lions colors. Maybe. Possibly. The other thought I was thinking was cabin socks. Like a worsted weight, slightly thicker than DK weight, a little bit lighter than worsted weight sock. And yes, I do make those in 100% wool because I'm just wearing them around the house. Most times they do fit in my boots, but most times I'm wearing them around the house. But again, it's not really my colors. I'm looking at it now with fresh new eyes. There's not really a lot of white in them, but it looks kind of like Detroit Lions colors. So this might become a hat still, or socks. My husband doesn't love cabin socks as much. He has some worsted weight ones, but he really does like the tight feeling of the fingering weight socks because he also wants to wear them to work. He wants to wear them hunting, and so he's wearing them like in and out of shoes like crazy. Whereas me, I'll just like slip my clogs on or wear boots. But so yeah, this was a fun trip to go to Wool & Company. If you're anywhere near that area, I definitely suggest going. They are wonderful. Both times that I've ever been there, they've been so nice. And I really am interested in asking, and I totally forgot because like I said, I was looking for yarn and I was there with my family. I want to ask them because they do knitting nights. They do several knitting nights, it sounds like, from their website, but there's also like a charity knitting night, and I think I do enough knitting nights through the library that like just meeting to knit isn't really what I'm after, but meeting to knit with a reason that's other than myself is more what I'd like to add to my schedule. I wouldn't just add another like group knitting night just to go knit, because I could just knit at my house in my cozy warm jammies. But that is my exciting knitting projects, things like that. Now the last thing I wanted to show you is that it's a little tool. I have not used this yet, but I love the look of it. It's an antique darning, what would they call this? I'm totally losing it now. Darning, oh gosh, why can't I think of it now? Egg, darning egg. Lost it out of my brain. Antique darning egg. And I did get this at the antique store, and yes, she was shocked that I was actually going to use it for its intended purpose, because I think that antique, sellers get so used to people just wanting it for the home decor. And do be sure I'm going to keep it on my yarn hutch because it is so pretty and it's cool and it matches our, super old house. But I do actually plan to use this. I have a stack of socks that need to be fixed, and they all go through it. They all go through stages where they're doing just fine and then stages where they're not. Gosh, I am dropping everything. Okay, so since I was talking about the worsted weight socks, this one, first of all, needs a good, it's been cleaned. It's just the fuzzies and stuff sticking to it are not good. Wore through the heel and not the toes, but has worn through the heel. And this yarn was from Apple Oak Fiberworks in Ireland, I think is what that one's called. An orange that's from there. This is a Wool of the Andes sock. This was the original one that I made for the pattern. Again, needs to be cleaned off. What's wrong with this one? Oh, I see. So I do say that I wear these inside, but we have hardwood floors that are kind of rough, especially in our bedroom. We haven't finished them and sanded them down, so these do get kind of caught on the floor quite often. But yeah, there's a little hole here. And yes, so far these ones are all 100% wool socks. And so I know it comes with the territory of knitting with wool socks. We've got another one. This one was all wool. I think it was one of those like Joann's yarn bee hand painted ones. It comes with the territory of knitting with wool socks, is that they do need to be fixed. But guess what? My socks that are sock yarn also have to be fixed. Like, it's the floors mostly, and probably because I, TMI, have like dry feet apparently, and I just go through all my socks. But this happens to all socks. Like, you can't escape it. Just because you buy wool socks that have nylon, you are still going to get holes in them. This is one of my husband's. So yeah, lots of socks. I will be using the darning egg for it. Now, the darning egg that I have, unless someone super glued it, it doesn't open. But what she was telling me is that some of the darning eggs, and she tried, but she was like, I don't want to try too hard and then accidentally break it also. Some of the darning eggs would unscrew and then you could keep your needles inside of it so it's all together. This one does not. So whatever that means, I have no idea like what year, its story, anything like that, but I thought it was really, really cool. And it was like $6 maybe, which again, I actually do plan to use this. If it was just going to sit on a shelf, then not really worth it, but still maybe kind of cool. I don't know, maybe still worth it. But I just thought that was really cool. So that is all I have to share with you guys today. I don't know that I'll do another video. I gotta think about this. If I don't come on again before Christmas, then Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Thank you so much for just being here and chatting and knitting with me when I do these videos. It is such a fun, creative outlet for me, and I really do appreciate you being here on the other side of the screen. It is always so weird to talk to yourself into your phone, but knowing that somebody is actually listening to it and I'm not just talking to myself does really help, and it makes it really special because, like I said, I could sit at my house and knit quietly by myself every day, and I do still, but it's just, it makes the knitting community feel smaller and tighter together when you just are sharing that with other people. So I really hope you have a great Christmas, a great end to the year, and I will see you here next year. Thank you guys.